Thank you so much for joining Hayden and I here today. Our webinar is going to be on summer scams, cybersecurity for business leaders and even employees. We're dealing with, phishing threats and email scams on a daily basis, both in our work emails and our personal emails. And summer is no different. They're not taking vacation. They're not, they might be going on trips, but they're going to take advantage of the out of office, signals and, um, you know, anything they can to find weasel their way into your organization. So let's take a proactive step in safeguarding your business. You want to kick it over to the next slide? I'll
Awesome.
introduce CorKat Data Solutions. I love to see that we have a few clients here on the call today. But if you're not currently a client of ours, I'm Jasmine with CorKat Data Solutions, and we are local to Loveland, Colorado. We specialize in proactive IT support, cybersecurity, and cloud solutions. A lot of people wonder why the name CorKat. And the reason is because our CEO, Kevin, has two daughters, Cora and Catherine. So he combined those two names together to create CorKat. And data solutions relates to our data center. So back in 2011, we combined two IT companies because they had the shared idea that if we had our own data center, we'd have more control over our cloud solutions for our clients and for ourselves, really. So we have a data center right by our office here in Loveland, and then one about, I don't know, 200 or so miles south in Colorado Springs. And we'll kick it to the next slide so you can see a bit of our team. We have some new faces, but this is the majority of our team. A common trend in our industry is to hire techs from overseas because they're a little bit cheaper. That's the cool part about us, though, is the majority of our team is local to Northern Colorado, and then we have one tech that lives over in Kentucky. So we do not use call centers, and you'll be working with a real person based in the United States. Can kick it over to the next slide. We'll be doing a prize drawing. So please engage with us. Thank you for everyone that's saying good morning and hi in the chat. Feel free to, drop in there, get active, share where you're going this summer, any fun vacations. Just make it fun with us. Drop in any questions you have as Hayden goes to the next slides. You can drop them in anytime. If it's relevant to the current slide, I might jump in and interrupt him. Otherwise, we'll have a live Q&A session at the end. And then stick around for that, this beautiful Yeti water bottle. So we'll announce
Nice.
the winner of that at the end of the slide, or at the end of the slide deck. So with that said, let me introduce Hayden. He is our cybersecurity partner. And the way we use that within our company is annual cybersecurity training. So at the beginning of each year, they have a brand new, very interactive platform that comes out. And then throughout the year, there's a quick, like 2 to 3 minute video that you can watch and stay up to date on the recent trends, and then answer 4 questions related to that video, just to make sure that you're absorbing that information. If you are a client of ours that is not currently utilizing this platform, either email me at marketing@corkatdata.com or reach out to your account manager and we'll make sure you get set up on that. And you might already be set up, you just haven't been into the platform. So yeah, so we can work through that later today. So with that said, Hayden, you can take it from here.
All right. Thank you very much. That was a great introduction. I really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for joining. Really excited to run through today's agenda with you. So we're going to be talking about summer scams, as Jasmine mentioned. Today's agenda, we're going to be starting with why summer is the prime time for cyber attacks, what's happening with phishing right now, and how AI is actually evolving those threats. We're going to show you some real world scam examples and then also talk about some tools and tips and tricks that you can do to protect your business. So before we get started, I want to run a quick poll. So utilize that chat function. And we're going to ask, has your business faced a phishing attempt in the last 6 months? If you have, say yes. If you haven't, say no. And would love an explanation of what happened if you have had an attempt on the daily. Okay. Through email. Very nice. Lots of yeses. Yes. This is it's a pretty a common occurring thing to happen, having phishing attempts happen within your email. And I see, some no's in there as well. And that's the thing about phishing emails is you might not even know if you're receiving a phishing email, especially with how they're evolving and how scammers are starting to create more and more realistic type of scenarios and phishing attacks. So something to be on the lookout for is this actually a phishing email? And I saw Jasmine mention about UPS in there. Double checking and making sure that it's actually from UPS and taking the proactive steps to stay in the know is super important. So just be extra careful, especially around this time of year where this is going to take more place. And that kind of transitions into my next slide here, where I want to talk about why summer is a high risk. So, some would say summer is actually an open season for cyber criminals. People are relaxing, they're out of office, they're taking vacations, they're distracted from work. Typically, summer is a busy season for businesses as well, and that can cause a lot of distractions, planning around work and play at the same time. Your teams are going to be, thin, what I like to say is vacation brain. It can lower your vigilance when it comes to detecting these types of scammers or attacks. Um, I have a few things there. One thing, for example, on vacations, a lot of people travel and then they do remote work. That can lead to an increased vulnerability as well. And we'll dive into why that is a little bit more. And also, whenever you set an out of office reply, you may not know this, but that can actually signal to an attacker, when you're going to be away, and it can cause patterns and create windows of opportunities, and attackers will consistently watch for them. So, I have a quote there: "Vacation brain is real, and the hackers will know it if they want to know it." So, just be careful out there whenever you're taking your vacations. Next slide here talks about phishing versus social engineering and just talks about the difference between the two. So, phishing itself is a method typically used in emails or texts, specifically to steal information or gain access to your account. This is like maybe you'll receive an email from PayPal saying that a payment. Sorry, Karen, I just saw your question there. Would you suggest not to list an out of office reply? Uh, Not necessarily, just be more vigilant about that occurring. Um,
Yeah,
and,
and
and
maybe just refrain from adding in like emails and phone numbers into your out of office reply.
and-
I know your intent behind that is to make sure whoever's emailing you, like a client, can find someone that is available. But the reason I would hesitate against that is you're just giving out that information to whoever has emailed you. And it might not just be a client, it might be a hacker, or it might be a salesperson trying to get as many email addresses as they can, anything like that. So refrain from putting too many details in there. Um, Anything you'd add on that, Hayden?
No, that's a really great suggestion. I actually see a lot of clients that I work with will take out their phone numbers and just put their name instead of that. Any information that you can keep out of an out of office reply, because like you mentioned, a hacker can send an email and receive that automatic reply right away, and that might not be up to your discretion. So
Right.
being able
I
to
also
not
heard
provide
of
it.
sorry to interrupt, but I heard of an example where, say, for instance, I was out of office and I put Hayden's email as, reach out to him, he's available. If a, scammer came and said, okay, I'm going to email Hayden and say, pretend to be Jasmine, say, hey, I'm out of office this week. I really need you to go and do this for me, send money or, do the gift card scan, whatever it may be. So Hayden might find that to be more realistic because he knows that I'm out on vacation. And so he might say, okay, well, she actually does need my help. Let me go ahead and do this. When in reality, it wasn't Jasmine asking, it was a hacker. That might be one example of how they might use that information against you.
Mm-hmm. 100%. That's great advice. Really great advice. Yeah, and that kind of plays into social engineering then too, and that's the strategy behind it, right? They're trying to manipulate a human behavior to gain your trust and create urgency and create maybe an authority. Maybe it's your boss emailing you, trying to rush something because they're on vacation, whatever it may be. And it's not just a tech issue, it's definitely a human issue, and your staff is going to be on the front line of that. So diving into common forms of phishing, first is obviously the email phishing that we were just talking about. It's a classic method, malicious links or attachments causing automatic downloads or asking you for information to be entered. And we've all heard horror stories about this. And I'm sure, if we actually knew what all of our employees were clicking into, we would probably be even more terrified. Uh, but the good news is there is ways to combat it, and we'll definitely talk more about that. Dive into texting scams, which we call smishing, or phishing via SMS. This might be something like, just to use the UPS example again. You'll get text alerts from UPS saying you have a package on the way, and it gives you a tracking number. Sometimes that tracking number is linked to a malicious web page that asks you for a login, and then you end up giving them your email and password, and it turns out it's not actually UPS that's providing you with that information. Then we have vishing, which is voice phishing. This is actually becoming a super prevalent type of scam. I've seen stories of hackers utilizing AI tools that are actually cloning voices. So, for example, let's say Jasmine answered a phone one time and just it was a spam phone call, and she may have just said, "Hello, who is this?" They can use just that voice clip and be able to mimic our actual voices and maybe then they'll go to Jasmine's mother who may not know more about cybersecurity and AI, and maybe her mom works for your company and she ends up giving money or company information, whatever it may be, specifically because she just thinks it's Jasmine on the other end of that phone. And it can be really really scary to think about that that's a real reality that's happening. But as AI is advancing, that is something that we definitely need to be weary of. Um, and then the next one is business email compromise. It's similar to email phishing. This is just when attackers are posing as executives or vendors, trying to trick you into wiring money or sharing credentials to help them out in some capacity. All right, next slide here. I want to talk to you a little bit about how AI is actually changing the game here. So AI is, now writing emails with flawless grammar. It's mimicking writing styles. For example, let's say you were to write out a long, drawn out of office explaining what you're doing or where you're at. They can take that, see how you mimic how you write, and then mimic your exact type of style to create an email that looks like you wrote it to one of your employees. Um, Attackers are using it to generate fake invoices, messaging. They're using deep fakes for voicemails and phone calls. And they're even able to use AI to actually bypass filters and detection tools. So it's becoming harder and harder to combat these hackers and these scammers. So being on the lookout is super important. It's becoming faster, smarter. It's becoming harder to detect, and that's making human training on this even more critical.
While we're on
So
this slide, Hayden, do you want to
yeah,
talk about how Art has used the deep fakes and fake voices in his
yeah,
social media posts?
yes, absolutely. So Art Gross, our CEO, he has been utilizing AI for all of his social media presence right now, and he has this side character called Artemis that he'll make announcements about whatever is going on here at our company and making sure that everyone's in the know about it. But what's really kind of scary about it is it really looks like him, and it really looks like he's talking. And I'm sure you may have seen on the internet these AI videos that are getting created from Google's, I think it's VO, and it's incredible the content that's being put out at the rate that it is. And I can already tell online just scrolling through Facebook, people are really starting to believe that these are real people and having real interactions in these videos. So remain vigilant and try and stay as secure as possible. I'm not asking you to live in fear. I don't want you to live in fear, but I do want you to be prepared for when that time comes that you need to be prepared for sure. Okay, so I want to do a little activity, and I'm curious to see who can spot it. So I'm going to jump to this. So, which email is the real email, and how can you tell? And leave a comment left or right, and tell me why.
While they're answering this question, Herb had a question on the last side of how do we spot fake videos? Now, I've heard a little bit about like maybe glitches in the audio or maybe in like the background, like around me, if it was kind of like the screen was kind of glitchy, it might be easier to spot if it's fake.
Yeah,
What would
absolutely.
you say?
Yeah, glitching, the audio might seem a little off. Something you should pay attention to is the background specifically.
Hmm.
There's going to be a lot of what we would call hallucinations in the video, maybe objects moving, maybe there's a straight line that just curves a little bit. Looking for tips and tricks around like AI videos, just any type of abnormal type of behavior.
Sure.
Um, there's also it's kind of a uncanny type of look. Like you can almost tell that it looks like a real human. It seems like a real human. It looks super real, but there's something off. If your gut is telling you this something feels off about this, then I would
Hmm.
go with your gut and
Yeah.
assume that it's a fake video.
Definitely better to question it. And that's the same with the emails. If something looks a little off, it's better to contact, say one of these emails came from my boss and I'm like, I don't know if this is legit. Maybe I reach out to my boss on his personal cell phone and text him, "Hey, did you send me this email?" Things like that. Always, it's better to question it and clarify with whoever the sender is. It looks like a lot of people here are saying the right. Any thoughts on why? Okay. Rip said mostly because it offers warnings.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else seeing anything suspicious about the left? Okay. We're saying Dropbox.com. Deanna says .xls. They state who's sharing it
Very good.
versus memberservices.com. Great. Yeah, all great things to look at.
Wonderful. All right. So the big reveal. The right is the correct answer. So, those of you who said right, congratulations. But those of you who said on the left too, don't be discouraged. It really is difficult to spot these emails. And it's funny because Jasmine and I actually had a conversation before this. Should we get rid of the banners and the cautions? And we thought like, oh, maybe it's good because then maybe they'll think like, oh, that's a dangerous email that's being received. So I'm glad that you saw the warnings and took note of those. And it also proves to me that those warnings are super important anyway, that people see those. Uh, but something to keep in mind as well, the one on the left also would typically have those warnings. And you would in your systems and you'd be able to see through Outlook and add trusted sender and see the blocked content, whatever it may be. Um, but it's really difficult to spot. And as we were talking, AI is only making these even better and better and better. So don't be too concerned if you didn't spot that one out. Um, something that I did want to mention is some tools. So we all know about ChatGPT. That's the big hot button topic right now. But there's actually some actual malicious LLM ChatGPT-like tools out there. One's called Worm GPT, one is called Fraud GPT. And it's just making it 10 times easier for these scammers to mass produce emails and personalize them as fast as possible based on your information and your data. So it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference. So we need to start training our instincts to question the emails that are coming through into our inbox. So I just want to keep talking a little bit more about AI making it look real. So, you're seeing how it's sounding more like humans. The signature blocks are going to start mimicking your real signatures, and they may mimic. That's why we said about the out of office reply, for example. Taking your signature out of those is super important. Invoices are looking more and more perfect. Uh, there's tons of examples where AI is going to really revolutionize our day-to-day lives, but also the dangers within the internet space as a whole. All right. So I just want to talk about some real scams that we've been seeing lately. These scams, they're not theoretical. They are actual scams that are being reported in our region. For example, first one is fake flight cancellations. It's a pretty easy one that people can fall for, specifically because there's a lot of anxiety around a flight cancellation. If you are booking your vacation and all of a sudden you see your flight is canceled, we all know that gut feeling of going to the airport and seeing a cancellation and being upset about it. And a lot of rash decisions can come from that, including clicking on links, maybe calling the helpline that's on that email. So verifying the sender and making sure that it's an actual cancellation is important. Something that you can do to combat this is check out the app. Like United has an app, American Airlines, they all have apps. You can check and actually see if the cancellation is a real cancellation through the app. And most of the time, you'll receive a notification through those apps as well. Um, uh, the next one is gift card scams. The number one that we see is boss impersonation. So your boss saying, "Hey, enjoy that vacation. Here's a free $50 gift card to get some drinks while you're on vacation." I personally would love that from my boss, but it's not a typical interaction. Maybe it's something you need to take a look at and make sure that it's actually your boss sending you that email. Um, okay, and then vendor invoices. This is very common if they find out that a CFO is on vacation, typically around July and August. They're just impersonating an executive and sending you invoices. The CFO is passing off those invoice payments, whatever it may be, to their other employees. And so whenever they see that invoice come through, they may just go on and enter the credentials and make the payment, not knowing that it's a scam. So attackers, like I was mentioning, they impersonate employees, they impersonate executives. Uh, these are just some other examples. They will act like they're stuck in a foreign country if they're traveling. They might say, "Oh, I'm under arrest. There's a medical emergency. I need you to wire me some money." These urgent requests it's trying to make you feel like you need to take action now rather than take the time to actually process what's going on and actually resolve the situation for yourself. Um, and most of the time, these are spiking during holidays and also vacation times, like I mentioned, July and August. Um, but these are just a few examples of specific real world scams that are taking place. And Herb, I just am reading your comment here. I know of a company that was scammed by a boss offering gift cards as an employee. Yeah, exactly. Around Christmas time. That's the perfect time for those types of scams to occur. All right. Just to dive in a little bit more into summer scam tactics, uh, starting off here, these scams are thriving on the travel, right? And on the remote work and the chaos of a busy schedule during the summer. Um, Number one that we typically see. It's not that this is uh, a super common thing that you're seeing, but it's something to be on the lookout for, especially if you're logging in with your work emails. So fake Wi-Fi logins, making sure that when you're at the hotel or the airport, that it's actually the hotel or airport Wi-Fi. Most of the time, those will be on a secure page. You'll have to log in, maybe use your guest, your room number or your logging into your airline Wi-Fi, whatever it may be, using that account. So just be on the lookout for any type of fake Wi-Fi login. We talked about out of office replies. And then there's also refund scams. So we were talking about flight cancellations. Imagine a fake Airbnb refund notification letting you know that your trip was scammed or was canceled as a scam, and they're utilizing that to, maybe they're scraping booking data that was leaked out onto the dark web, whatever it may be, or however they're getting that information. They're trying to, again, utilize your emotions to get what their end result is, which is either your money or your information that would be valuable to them. Um, and as employees travel, as you travel, and as you're logging in all these different places and skipping protocols, the risk will go up of becoming a victim to these types of scams. Okay, so I want to talk about how social engineering is working. This will be a pretty quick one here. These are just psychological tricks that uh, these scammers and attackers are using to manipulate you. So it's creating a sense of urgency. If you're feeling that sense of urgency, maybe being able to step back, take a deep breath, and assess the message that you received, just so you can have a clear mind whenever you are reading the email. They're trying to create an authority. So, this is from your CEO. I'm your boss. I'm your CFO, whatever it may be, whoever the decision maker is, they're trying to make you feel like this is an important email. And then there's also some familiarity. So whether it's, hey, it was fun being at your barbecue last week, or as I have here on the slide about being at a conference, it was fun to meet with you at the conference. You can schedule some time in my calendar here at this link, and it can. They're just trying to get you to believe them in any way, shape, or form that you know them, to bring your guard down or to raise your urgency alarm at the same time, and it can be a dangerous combination of all three. Um, and with AI, these tactics are becoming more and more believable and even more targeted towards you as well. Okay, so a couple more slides here. So what can SMBs do? What can small and medium-sized businesses do? So you don't need a massive IT budget to protect your business. You There's some things that you could talk to CorKat about, specifically multi-factor authentication and how that can stop account takeovers, and making sure that you're verifying that it's actually you logging into the account. You have email security and filtering that can catch basic spam and phishing emails, and really keep the junk away from your inbox. Um, you have VPNs if you're doing remote work. That's a good way to protect your data and your network, and just making sure that you're not providing them with your actual work IP addresses. Um, and then finally, that's where we come in, is the security awareness training that you will give your team the instinct to pause and verify. And these are all very low lift but high impact type of steps you can take to make sure your business is secure. So, why does security awareness training work? So, training is going to build habits and instincts so people will know when something's off, whenever they receive a weird email or maybe a link to click, whatever it may be. They're going to be more in the know, and have more of a gut feeling about it. Regular, ongoing, bite-sized type of training actually ends up reducing phishing clicks by up to 70%. And that's just an amazing statistic. 70% less likely to fall victim to a phishing attack is a great feeling. Um, it creates a security first mindset, and really builds a culture, and it becomes second nature for your users in real time. Um, and as I mentioned before, and I'll continue to say it, as AI becomes more advanced and phishing becomes more advanced, your people are still your best defense. And a trained employee is going to be better than any spam filter that you can deploy. Um, so with the security awareness training through CoreCat, you're not just getting a basic cybersecurity training. You're going to get an AI cybersecurity training. You're going to get a Microsoft cybersecurity training, ongoing phishing simulations, so it's constantly testing your users. We have micro trainings that are sent monthly or weekly that are just little snippet trainings, 2 to 4 minutes long. And I think Jasmine mentioned there's like a 4 question quiz, just keeping your users up to date. Um, There's also 24/7 dark web monitoring. So if you have any domains that are out on the dark web, you'll be notified about that immediately. There's end user reporting to track who's engaging with the training and who's actually taking it seriously. And there's also built-in policy acknowledgments and tracking, so you can create your own cybersecurity policy space and be able to see who is actually reading those policies and acknowledging them at the same time. Um, it's definitely more than a training platform. I would say that it's actually more of a human risk management type of system that's tailored for small to medium-sized businesses like yourselves. And with one final message that I want to say is that we are all responsible to create a secure workplace. So security is everyone's job. It's from the interns to the executives. You are meant to encourage a culture of caution and reporting and not shame. Cybersecurity doesn't just live with IT, but it lives in every single one of your inboxes. So three steps if you are targeted really quickly here. Number one, don't engage. Don't click on anything. Don't reply. Don't forward it to any other employee. Number two, report it. Your MSP or your IT needs to know about this as soon as possible, and just to make sure that they know that you are under attack. Also, document it. It's going to help your team learn how to respond to these types of scenarios. So I have a quote here. Details are important, and there's no shame in reporting what happened, but there is shame in ignoring the situation. And that is when you will be shamed if you just ignore it. So reporting it early can stop a small threat from becoming a huge incident, and just don't let that be you, and don't let that be your business, and take the steps to make sure you're good with that. So I really appreciate you all joining, and thank you for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll take any questions now.